All right, so Costco. We had a Costco in the town I lived in. It was, for me, it was 2 buses. Each of those buses only ran once an hour, not convenient connection times, 30-minute waits, on each end of getting there and back. But so it's already going to be a 4-hour commute plus wandering around Costco, which I don't know, somehow time changes inside Costco.
Yeah.
So 6 hours to go to Costco. And if you buy a pack of toilet paper, you have to bring it home with you on the bus. It's like you cannot where I was living, it wasn't practical to go to Costco.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I had a friend, and unfortunately, she was going through a little tough patch. I said, "Look, you drive, and like toilet paper and paper towels. I'm just a single dude at this point." I said, "I will give you half of all that stuff because I actually don't need that much, and that way, like it'll help." I paid for the gas, and I said, "And you get half of all these other items that I'm going to buy, a couple times a year." Mm-hmm. And so that actually worked out really well. But people don't even think about, you go shopping and you have this volume of stuff. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing that I learned from just walking and trying to use city buses if you could and whatnot was live close to a grocery store.
Yep.
Like my number one criteria is close to a grocery store. And second on my list is, good public transportation access or good walking trails, good sidewalks, or I'm close to everything that I really could, on a day-to-day basis. And sure, sometimes you want to go across town to something else, but grocery store. Yep. Because that stuff's heavy. When it's hot, you're trying to get stuff home before it melts and all of that. What about for you?
Exactly the same. Like when I moved around, the criteria was always going to be proximity to a grocery store.
Yeah.
Or shopping for other items, like good access to goods and services. Mm-hmm. And God forbid you forgot something at the store and you had to go back for that one thing. And I had a great system. I had a huge backpack. I put all my heavy stuff in the backpack and all my light stuff in 2 bags.
Yep.
And I would walk about 1.25 miles to the grocery store. And so it took me roughly around 30-minute walk, getting there, and maybe 40 minutes I'm weighed down coming back. Because you can't do it on a bus. And public transportation as a visually impaired person is a whole other topic, trying to navigate that and the schedules. Back in the day, you had the paper schedules with a really small print.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out. But you take it for granted. And it's like literally location of all the stuff you need.
Absolutely. Did I ever tell you when I lived in Los Angeles and I had my seeing eye dog, did I ever tell you my bus story?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm sitting on the bus way up toward the front where, that way I can tell the driver where I'm trying to get off at the stop, because back then they would have the thing that lit up that told you where to stop was, but it didn't do it audibly. Mm-hmm. And so I would just tell the driver where I was trying to go, and they were great. Mm-hmm. Bus drivers, thank you guys, gals, thank you. I've never had a bad bus driver, ever. Like, they get you where you need to be, and they know you can't see it, and they really help you. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting up front in one of the seats where I'm going down the road sideways, and my seeing eye dog's right between my legs. Its head's sitting right on my leg, and it's middle of the day, hot month in Los Angeles, and the bus is full. And this guy gets on the bus, and my dog, he's got these just bulging cargo pockets. Mm-hmm. And my dog just starts sniffing the heck out of his pockets. And I can see sweat just dripping down his head as soon as that happens. He pulls the cable. He's off at the next stop. I think he thought that I had the drug sniffing dog. Yeah. He got so nervous.
Yep. You never know what you're going to come across. Yeah. And I had the same experience with the bus drivers for the most part. But with you having the dog, I would have my cane.
Yeah.
And that's my symbol. I don't need my cane to navigate, but I use it when I'm getting on buses and whatnot, and I'll keep it open on the bus, and people can tell
Right.
me. But the bus drivers try their best, but they're not all. They can't be perfect.
Nobody's perfect,
Yeah.
and I've had bus drivers miss my stop, by a stop or two, but luckily my legs work well. So, if I have to walk back a stop or two, and they always apologize. They're like, "Oh, so sorry, I missed it," so they're never perfect. None of us are, but I've had great experience. One of the neatest things, I used to take the Amtrak every other week. And so I got to know the crew. They would put me in the disability seating section. So I always had the same seat every single week, and the crew is on a schedule. So I had the same crew year after year. One night I was going down to Portland, Oregon from Bellingham, Washington, and I asked one of the guys on the crew, I said, "Do you live in Portland?" He said, "Yes." Well, he said, "Sort of. I live close, but not technically in Portland." I said, "Okay, I'm trying to get to this place, and I'm just curious, I'm supposed to take this bus to this bus." And he said, "You should not go there at night." He's like, "Where you have to connect through, you shouldn't go." I said, "Well, okay, but my friend lives there and they're expecting me, so I have to go." He said, "When we get to Portland, go out in front of the station." He said, "Sit on the bench." He said, "I'm going to go get my car." And he ended up just driving me to my friend's house, which was like a 25-minute drive, and wouldn't take any money. He's like, "Oh, it's, just 10 minutes out of my way." And, what a cool guy, right? And we actually got to talk and got to know each other better. And then from then on, for the next couple of years on the train, we actually would have even better conversations, and it actually really enhanced our friendship. We formed a friendship instead of me just being, a Amtrak train rider who was a regular patron, and him just being my regular employee. Like, we actually formed a friendship, and it was really cool.
And those random acts of kindness reaffirm my faith in humanity sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But along that line, please don't come up to us and just grab us by the arm and just start pulling us places when we have our cane out.
I've had that.
Right?
Yep.
I always tell people, like, for me, when somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, I'm Bob, are you trying to find something?" By the fact that they told me their name, which could be a made-up name,
Right.
but it puts me more at ease.
Sure.
But if somebody comes up to me and says, are you trying to find something? I'm more hesitant. Just by saying, "Hi, I'm Bob, saw your cane, can I help you find anything?" Or like, just that initial start changes everything for me. But what about for you?
I've actually never had someone introduce themselves to me, but I've had people come up and grab me and drag me across the street as I'm trying to figure out traffic patterns.
Yeah.
Can't see the little walk sign, don't walk sign. But I've had many people just go like, "Are you trying to find this?
Yeah.
Or can I help you find something?" And it's really appreciated. I've had people not ignore me, but pretend not to see me looking or struggling or straining.
Yeah.
So there's like a double-edged kind of thing. Like, some people are great and will help out, or some people might be scared to approach somebody. So if someone ever does introduce themselves, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think the reason that would happen for me is that a lot of times it would happen in Portland, where there's a seeing eye dog school. And so people, I think, are just more aware of the blind community there, because there are blind people that are in downtown Portland every week getting trained with their seeing eye dog. And I think the seeing eye dog school goes out to the schools and, does some education in the community. And so I think because of those things and the puppy raiser clubs, that they maybe probably just have a slightly more blind aware community there. They also have an eye hospital, KCI Institute. Shout out to those guys. They've done tons of great work for me. So maybe because of those things. Now I will say, because I've used seeing eye dogs and a cane, and when I have my seeing eye dogs, everybody flocks to you. And then when you have your cane, everybody kind of runs away from you or tries to pretend like they don't see you, or, you know. So I wish there was a furry cane that hit that middle ground.
Yeah. Everybody loves dogs.
Right, everybody loves dogs, and nobody knew my name.
Yeah.
Every conversation was about my dogs, and that was fine. Obviously doesn't work here in this environment. Our streets aren't wide enough. There's too many obstacles, too many street dogs, just for various reasons. A seeing eye dog here is just completely inappropriate.
Sure. Yeah, you gotta be in the right environment.
For sure.
Yep. And on that kind of note, even a cane isn't widely understood in different countries around the world.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, because everybody assumes if we have our cane out, we can't see anything.
Right.
And what is it, like 95% of us can see something that use a white cane? And then, ignorance. I got thrown off. We were in Guatemala City and we were in a shopping center. We came out of the shopping center and my wife said, "Hey, that girl has a green cane. What's a green cane?" I said, "I don't know." And then here we are, two white people standing in Guatemala City. The girl with the green cane came over to us and she said, "Are you guys trying to find something?" And I said, "No, we were trying to know what your green cane is." And she said, "Oh, I'm low vision. It means low vision." And I didn't know that.
Me either.
Yeah, right? So ironically, we ended up having this conversation. I didn't have my cane out because I was with my wife. And so I told her, I'm legally blind. I also use a cane, but I use a white one. And then it turns out, as we're sitting there having this whole conversation, she and I see the same eye doctor in Guatemala City, and we were totally raving about how much we love this guy, how wonderful he is. And it was a pretty neat and funny experience. But even I'm ignorant of things that, just somehow I had never seen a green cane.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Or if I did, I didn't recognize it.
Maybe it winked at me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's universal.
Yeah. Did we have a question we didn't cover yet?
I bet people want to know, how did you guys meet?
Do you want that to be the next episode, or you want us to roll?
It's two questions. I've only asked one, so
Oh,
that's my second question. How did, actually the three of us, but how did you guys meet?
Yeah.
The most normal way that blind guys meet, right?
Yeah.
Fist on each other's leg, miss the urinal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, watch where you're aiming. I love it. I like to answer this one.
Please do.
So traveling around Europe, going into Eastern Europe, I am leaving the country Croatia, and I'm getting on a bus and going through to the border of Bosnia Herzegovina. I can't say it. Herzegovina, thank you. And getting off the bus, getting in a line to get my passport stamped, and there was this couple standing in front of me. They're doing a selfie, and I always do this thing like, "Hey, would you guys like me to take the photo for you?" It's like, "Oh no, we got a selfie thing." He's like, "Oh my God, you guys are Americans. I haven't seen an American in like months." And we start, just a little chat, and you guys are talking in front of me, and I'm got my magnifying glass out on my phone because I still got cell service from the previous country before getting to the next country. And then I noticed, like, you turn around, you kind of see me looking at my magnifying glass, and like self-conscious go, I got really bad eyesight. And you go, "Oh yeah, I understand." And then I'm going back to reading it, and then I think both you guys are kind of looking back, like seeing me, and like, "Yeah, I'm kind of legally blind." Like, and you go, yeah, I totally get it. I understand that. And then I felt really self-conscious and felt like I needed to explain further. And then you go, like, "I'm legally blind too." And like, it's like, unbelievable. Like, then we started chatting, and I use this, so do I. I do this, so do I. Like, everything we talked about, and then even our spouses, very, very similar.
Yeah.
And everything that we talked about just lined up absolutely perfect. You had struck out on your own, left the United States, like risked it all to travel the world with a visual impairment, and I just started my journey.
Right.
So you were years ahead of me, and then I like realized like you were a treasure trove of information. And then we get our passport stamped, we're queuing up, get back on the bus, and your wife says, you guys want to sit together and talk. And so going from the border to Mustar, we chatted for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and then you guys got off in Mustar, chatted for a couple more hours. And then thank God for like WhatsApp and kept in contact, and you the actual interaction changed the entire direction of my life. And you may or may not know this, but I've learned so much from your experiences and your trials and tribulations and your adaptive nature that I thought I had things all figured out. And it's like I'm picking up, learning, like making Karl notes. Like it's been fantastic.
But the same thing happened for me. There were people that were ahead of me that taught me so many of the things, about international travel and just, blindness and whatnot. So I feel like that, I'm standing on the shoulders of somebody else and helping somebody else, stand on my shoulders. I think is wonderful. And that was just such a cool experience. And the reason we were on that bus, the story gets a little crazier. So the reason that we were on the bus going to Bosnia and Herzegovina on that day is because just a week or two earlier, when we were in Hungary, in Budapest, we met a couple, and they were an Irish couple, and she was a teacher for the blind. And they were insistent that we go to Mostar in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we're like, we just told you we're going to Croatia. And they're like, yeah, but you have to go to Mostar in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We're like, we're going to Croatia. And they were so insistent. And we have traveled a fair amount. And so we were like, when people tell you something so emphatically, you listen. And we figured out a way for this particular day to go there. So the teacher for the blind made it happen that we ended up on the bus together. But the weirdness of that day didn't end there, because we hung out with you for the day and had a great time, and you and I just connected right away. And I'm glad we did, and built this friendship. I think we'll be friends for the rest of our lives, and resources for each other. So then we go to jump back on the bus to get back to Croatia, to get back to visiting with our friends that had to work that day. And we hit that border again, and the guy directly behind me is blind, like 100%. And I'm like, how did the blind teacher get me on the first bus with the other legally blind guy? But then we end up on the bus with the completely blind guy from Iceland, and he was fascinating and wonderful as well. And I wish I could find him. So if anybody knows a blind guy in Iceland with a son, that'd be about, well, this is 2026, and the son would be 19, I guess, approximately. I'd love to connect back with that fella because he was so cool, but unfortunately we got off the bus and we hadn't exchanged contact information.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for WhatsApp, because like that's how we kept in contact.
Yeah.
The ability to have the voice texting.
The voice texting is so handy, because when I'm out walking around and I'm wearing my sunglasses, and especially if I'm in the sun, trying to read that screen is just
impossible.
Yeah.
Challenging, not impossible.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. I'm hunting for a piece of shade, and I'm trying to see with polarized glasses a screen. Yeah. So yeah, the voice notes are really handy, and a lot of times we can get so much more communication done so quickly.
Yeah, technology has changed leaps and bounds since I've been getting introduced to that, and that's a whole other episode and conversation upon conversation.
Yeah, the technology is, and one of the small things is like Netflix. I love the audio description. It makes it so much easier. Like we were talking about missing those facial cues, missing all that stuff that's happening on that screen that I have no idea is happening, but getting it told to you that this is happening, that they're giving you the important pieces. really has made it so I actually can still enjoy some movie and TV shows, because I really had gotten to the point where I was like, it's just not fun. I don't understand what's happening, and I'm missing too much.
And once again, learning something new, because I didn't know that was an option.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I don't know if it's on like Prime and Apple Plus. I don't know. I don't think so. But Netflix has it. And it's like where you turn on the languages and closed captions and all that. And it's a really neat experience. You should try it
Yeah.
and see if it makes it better for you.
Yeah. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Future episode.
Yeah. Why not? I still don't watch a lot of TV. It takes a lot of effort. Even though, I mean, I have a very large TV, and it does annoy me. My wife pointed this out to me the other day. We were talking about, what phrases do people say that bug you? Mm-hmm. And I said, really nothing. Like, it never bothers me when somebody says, great to see you. Or, I'm like, that's normal English. Yeah. Like, there's no, I love blind jokes. I think they're absolutely hilarious. I love to laugh about it because you have to sometimes. But she said, well, there is something people say that does bother you. I was like, what is it? She said, when people come in the house and they say, is your TV big enough? And I'm like, actually, it's not. Yeah. But if you want to pay for my bigger one so I might be able to see it, that would be great. But it is very large, but it's still not even big enough.
I do want the 100-inch one at Costco.
Right. Yeah. But what about for you? Are there phrases that get under your skin that people say, or things that people think they say that they think bug you that don't?
Yeah, like some of the blind jokes, they do get old, especially if that's all they have in their repertoire. Like I mentioned previously, I like playing pool, and when I still play, and I still have my games where I'll win, and then it's like, you got beat by a blind guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good and bad.
Of course.
But then when I do lose, it's like, I lost because I'm blind, and like use that excuse.
Yeah.
But not really that I have a phrase that bugs me, but it's not related. It's the phrase when someone says, no worries. Like, I wasn't worried. Like, that just bugs me. My pet peeve phrase.
There you go.
No worries.
Oh, I had a question for you. So if I see a straight line, it's not straight to me. It has curves and waves in it. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if you ask me to cut a board, there is no way I can cut it straight, because I can't, like, it's absolutely impossible for me. Mm-hmm. Just because of how my vision, my retinas and everything is. Can you see a straight line?
Yes, but the straight line gets wider. I have to make it wider. Like, if I'm going to cut something, like, I can't just do like a pencil line. I have to do like a marker line.
Okay.
So yeah, I can see the straightness of the line, but
could you tell if something was level?
Ironically, yes. The things I can see baffle people.
Well, that's why I'm asking these questions. Like, I remember one day you said something about a mosquito. You saw a mosquito, and I'm like, one of the things I love about my vision is I can be surrounded by gnats, and it doesn't bug me because I can't see them. Yeah. Like, I mean, literally, I can have gnats flying all around me as long as they aren't going up my nose and in my ears. They don't bother me because I cannot see that they're there.
Yeah. It comes down to contrast.
Yeah. Contrast is huge.
So I was hunting a mosquito this morning in my apartment, and when he's going across the white wall, I can track him. And then as soon as he goes over towards the closet area with the dark wall, I lost him.
Gone.
Yep. And so I'm always hunting them down. My nemesis, mosquitoes.
Yeah. Oh, you and I both. We both react really strongly to mosquitoes. We welt up. Yep. I don't know. Maybe there's some secret condition that hasn't been researched, and some doctor's watching this, and he decides, we're gonna figure out why is it that the legally blind guys welt up. I mean, not just everybody gets a bump, but no, we literally.
Yep. And You can actually Google this. It's called Skeeter syndrome.
Yeah.
Hyperreaction to the bite. So
And I didn't have it when I was a kid.
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, mine didn't come on till I know exactly when it happened. Because I was a kid in Kentucky, and we would be out playing kick the can, till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, getting chewed up with mosquito bites. And, normal little itch, whatnot, but, goes away fairly quickly. And I went to Greece in 2001, and I got demolished one night. My hand was outside the covers, and these little itsy bitsy mosquitoes just chewed up my hand so bad I couldn't close my hand. My hand was so swollen. And ever since then, I've had that, hyper reaction to just a single mosquito bite.
Yeah. And then when did your eyesight really take the turn?
So the last day I ever drove a vehicle was July 4th, 2000.
Okay. So not too long after.
Right. Yeah. And like that day, I was no longer even sure that a car was or was not on the road in the lane. And so I just pulled over, and I, confirmed that there was nothing I was going to hit if I pulled over, because I was just like, I really don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
And yet the day before, it was hard to read the signs, but I could read them, right as I got to them,
Right.
just not boom. But I knew where the cars were. And then the next day it was gone.
Yeah. So with the trip to Greece the year later,
Yeah.
and then you guess when you get eaten alive.
Yeah.
So then you insert a blind joke. You didn't even see that one coming.
I didn't see it coming at all.
No, not a bit. Yeah. But yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny the things that, even you and I hanging out and being friends and seeing each other, that there's still things about your vision I don't even fully understand yet. And so I really appreciate that we're actually getting to have these conversations to get to know, oh, okay, well, that is something you can or can't do currently. And, they're just, it's great that we get to know more about one another.
Yeah, and pick up the tips and tricks.
Exactly.
And the things we do around the house, things we do around the office, things we do in public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we know where we're going with our next episode.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody for showing up, watching. You can like and subscribe if you want to hear more. Share it with the people that need to see this, because we're just trying to be honest and tell you what real life is like as a legally blind person.
Yeah, and navigating life from me from birth on, and then you from...
Well, mine was from birth on. It's just, they couldn't look in my eyes and figure anything out. And so, I didn't get my diagnosis until I was 52, but they could see there was problems. Like I said, when I was 10, they told me I'd be blind at 16, but they didn't know why. They just saw this crazy progression. So mine was from birth on, and I never should have driven. Now, knowing what we know, they never should have given me a driver's license.
Right. And I shouldn't have been riding a bike or skiing or rollerblading.
But there's lots of things we can do, and I look forward to talking about that in our next episode, because I want to hit some of that, what we've figured out that works for us.
100%.
Thanks, guys.